Hi, and welcome back to On the Table, where we're exploring what it means to be human and alive in all of its messy, uneven, sometimes completely obscene glory. I've been thinking a lot about the concept of courage recently. I think in part because I've realized that we, or at least I, have historically gotten some things wrong about it. I think like a lot of things in life, we tend to think of it as binary, like you're either a courageous person or you're not. And it's high time we disabuse ourselves of that idea. I think when I look at the people around me, the vast majority of us are functioning with a lot of bravery in some spheres and seasons of our lives, and then we struggle or haven't really developed the muscle in other spaces. And I think partly why we tend to miss it in our own lives is because there's been a lot of cultural value placed on, frankly, like pretty patriarchal forms of courage, like brute strength and stoicism. But the reality is that like these small everyday actions that we engage in, the willingness to be vulnerable with somebody we love, being honest with ourselves and showing up and doing the work every day, the slog of trying to build a business or pursuing your dreams. For a friend of mine, being honest about the fact that she does not give a shit about wine when she's in a group of friends who are all natural wine snobs. Like, these are all forms of courage. We need to broaden the field a little bit. And there's another thing that I've been unlearning, and I want to give Liz Gilbert her flowers for this, which is that being courageous does not mean being fearless. It means that you're afraid and you just do it anyway. People who behave courageously are not without fear, they're just not letting their fear call the shots. It's that concept of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's a fucking doozy. And so I think we are, as human beings, really attracted to that audacity in other people because on a deep, fundamental human level, we understand that to be courageous, which is to say to be willing to go against the grain and risk judgment and criticism and failure in the name of who we truly are and what we want, is to be on the path toward freedom. And I think that's what we're all really after. So when I meet somebody who is courageous on a lot of fucking levels, and I'm so sorry for saying courage 17 times, we're almost done with that. I'm like a moth to a flame, and that is Zolita. She is an independent musician and filmmaker who has been making her art in exactly the way that she has wanted to from jump. She directs, edits, produces all of her own music videos in addition to being the musician and performer and star in them. She's a true auteur. And her storytelling is unabashedly centered on queer celebrations of love. And when you watch them, you realize how sorely lacking that is in our landscape still. To wit, one of her music videos for Somebody I Fucked Once, great name, is up to 66 million views on YouTube and counting. She's fully independent. There's no label support behind that. She built that herself. I rewatched it yesterday and I cried.
That's me sometimes. I mean.
Oh my God, I'm so happy to hear that. And admittedly a light touch. Her album, Queen of Hearts, drops May 31st. She's going on tour this fall, starting September, across the country. And the music video for her latest single, Small Town Scandal, which I had the pleasure of choreographing, comes out on Tuesday, April 30th. We'll show a little clip of that a little bit later in the show. I'm your host, Serena Smith. Behind the camera is my incredible crew. We always list them in the show description. Hire them for cool shit, please. They're amazing. My husband and director is behind the camera as well. He is probably the biggest reason why I am ever brave. And we're coming to you live with a lot of coffee grinding in the background from Zinqué restaurant in Venice, California. Throw your questions in the chat. We'll ask some of those later. And got to do the YouTube thing. If you haven't subscribed already, please do it for me. Thank you. Hi. Yay. Cheers. Oh my God.
Cheers.
Happy Lesbian
Visibility Week. It's a good time to be visible.
Come on. We can see you.
Yes, please.
You exist. So kind of related to what I was just talking about. I know, we're in Italy instantly.
Yeah, no, we're in Italy.
You know, as legend has it, your you put out this video when you were in your senior year at NYU. You had not even like started your career as part of your experimental film class.
Yes.
This music video, and it blows up.
Somebody I fucked once, are you talking about? Or talking
No,
about?
you're the
Explosion.
beginning.
Yeah, so this is actually sophomore year of NYU. I was
my
like
God.
halfway through, and yeah, and I love music videos so much as a medium because they combine so many things that I love, and I am really bad at deciding. I'm very Libra, and I love so many different art mediums, and yeah, with a music video you can, you know, there's dance and choreography, there's fashion, there's activism, there's acting, there's directing, there's so many things, and in this tiny succinct little, you know, 3-minute clip that so many people have access to. So I made a music video for an experimental class my sophomore year and put it online, like didn't expect anything of it, and yeah, and it blew up. It hit, I think, 1 million views in a month or something, which especially at that time, that was kind of, it was 2014, I think, big deal.
Oh my God, big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just like a college undergrad. Like,
Yeah.
you're not, I mean, I'm assuming you were not strategically thinking that this was
No.
going to launch your career.
No. And also I wasn't thinking that like music was gonna be the main thing ever. I was like always thinking that film was gonna be the main thing, and music, I just wanted to make music videos, and I was also writing music for myself just as my own form of healing. And yeah, and I made a music video for a song that I had written, and then I was like, oh, people are really resonating with this. Like, maybe I should think about making music, like the whole thing, you know, doing the whole package, but making music the main thing. And specifically, people were resonating with the story that I was telling in that video. Was I was in love with my best friend at the time, which is such a universal queer experience that I now know. But at the time, I was like, who else is experiencing this? Like, I feel so alone in this.
Yeah.
And then I made that video, and so many queer people were all like bonding in the comments over being in love with their best friends, or like that being their first like queer awakening. And that was so, I was like, oh, this is my calling. My calling is to tell queer stories, and yeah, tell the stories that for young queer people to resonate with. And
Was there any piece of you, given that you thought your path was going to be as a director and as a filmmaker specifically, like was there any piece of you that was like, okay, I feel some reticence about sort of reorienting to a career where maybe I'm going to be known as a musician first, or any piece of you that was like, what business do I have?
Yeah. I think all of my favorite artists are multi-hyphenates, so I always was just like, I can always come back to film. Thing is, like, yeah, obviously music you can do throughout your life too, but I feel like especially in the pop music industry, there's such a pressure to be, you know, young, and I feel like I felt like, why don't I just like see how far I can take this? Film it's always going to be interwoven in it anyways, and I know that I'm going to be making feature films in the future, and that will always be there for me. It's nice though to get to express myself, I think, through both mediums, and you know, when I'm not feeling super inspired by one, then I'm feeling more inspired by the other, and then I'm feeling excited about the other, and they really inform each other, honestly. So I don't think I didn't feel too much hesitation on just owning both.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, like I was saying in the intro, that it seems really apparent about you, which is that like, kind of just feels like courage is baked into your DNA.
Yes, definitely.
Does that feel right?
Definitely, yeah. It feels, yeah. I feel I've always been this way. I was pretty bold in high school too.
Yeah?
I was pretty bold.
How so?
Yeah, I mean, the photos I took were crazy. I took photography all 4 years, and I would just take the most like scandalous, like pretty sexual photo. Like they were pretty wild. Like my teacher one time gave me a specific project, and he was like, I want you to take a picture of 2 guys in a car, because I only took pictures of women ever. And he was like, you need to take a picture of 2 men and a car. And I dressed the high school quarterback in drag, and I wrapped my like ex-boyfriend in cellophane. And it's like, it's a crazy photo, but that was like, it was always pretty bold and shameless.
And just like constantly, you're just like, I'll fucking subvert what you're trying to get me to do.
No, exactly. And I think I thrived off of shocking people too. Yeah, I definitely, and I think I still do a little bit. But Yeah, and I mean, I really have my parents to thank in a big way for that. They were always so supportive of everything that I did. They never like bat an eyelash. They were helping me with the photos. Like they were, yeah. And I feel like I got the most affirmation and validation that I got from my parents had to do with like doing well in my work. Like if I was like doing well playing guitar, or if I like did a good photo, or like I was always, that was where the, you know, the love and approval kind of came from that. So I think that was really, yeah, super formative. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, when I was looking into your family, I was like, I'm so fascinated by families that churn out multiple really successful kids in different spheres. And like, here you are, this lesbian, favorite new pun of mine.
It's the best.
And just like making all these waves in the music world and filmmaking with your music videos, and then your sister is a ballerina and YouTube star in her own right, and then your brother has played professional basketball.
Yeah.
And I'm so fascinated by when this happens. Like, do you know what that alchemy was in your family that allowed each of you to flourish in these ways?
Both of my parents are so creative. Yeah, they're both so creative, and they really created. I had such an idyllic childhood. I know I'm very lucky that I can say that. And yeah, they both.
It's a rarity.
Yeah, it's super rare. I miss it all the time. Like
really?
I was such an idyllic childhood.
And you were a horse girl.
And I was a horse girl, and yeah, they both just like always supported and encouraged anything that we were interested in. Literally could be anything. And like my brother, both my parents are artists, and my brother playing basketball, like even that, like, we would all show up to the game, every single game, and like I remember when he was little, he like shot on the wrong side, and we all were like cheering because we had no idea. Like my dad doesn't know shit about basketball, but always, yeah. And the other thing I think that was really important was we were all expected to show up for our siblings. So like we were at all my brother's games. We were always at every recital for my sister. Like they were always at all of my like little film premiere things and horse shows, and there was no like competitiveness. It was very like, you are going to support your siblings. And definitely it's lucky that we all did very different things. Yeah. We all have our own lane, and I wonder if like we had crossed, if that would have changed things at all. But yeah, we're all so different. Like my brother's 6'8" and a basketball player, and then my sister is just like the most graceful ballerina, and yeah.
But creativity coming out of each of you, because I think even within the world of like professional sports, there's a lot of creativity that's manifest in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So another thing that happened when this first video of yours came out, which like now I know is many moons ago, but I think it's important table setting, is that, you know, not only did you not expect this to like blow up and parlay you into the like beginnings of your career, but also, you know, you were out at this point, but it also like introduced you to the public sphere as, you know, an unabashedly out queer human and artist, right? Like, was there ever any question in your mind that you would have done it that way?
I always knew it was going to be that way. Yeah, I don't think there wasn't any part of me that was like, I'm going to do better if I'm like hide who I am, because I always knew that that's what, like, the queer storytelling is what would set me apart. And also because that's just people, you know, people gravitate towards authenticity, right? So so being shameless and telling stories from my own experience, I knew that was going to be the thing that actually resonated with people. So yeah, there was never, I think maybe in the very beginning there was a few people that were like, yeah, maybe you should tone this down so it can be, and there was definitely managers and stuff that were like, maybe like we want to like broaden the audience, but the thing is like that's not, I don't know, I don't think that's the way it works anymore. I think that you like, I think I look at like people, there's such a renaissance right now happening, like really out and proud lesbian artists like Chappell Roan and Renee Rapp, and now Billie Eilish. Did you see that quote that she, unbelievable, just like, it's what an incredible year for lesbians. And but I think just
truly,
like, right? Yeah. I think just like being authentic and like starting, I don't know, I think because you start too broad, I don't know if it works as well.
No, it gets diluted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said, like in your professional life as a creative and as an artist, but I think also just as like human beings. Like I think I've like long said I would rather have a smaller group of people feel really passionately about me versus like
oh my god, then in the masses
like,
not
kind
really
of like medium liked by everybody.
Yes,
you know.
Yes, 1,000,000%.
Like fuck that.
Yeah, no, I want like a small group of people who like really get it and who. That's what I love about my fan base is very like, they're not so like, oh my God, Zolita, we're obsessed with you. It's more like, we love the work that you make. Like that, I feel like people who gravitate towards me or like the work you make help me understand myself or help me come out to my parents or help me like, every fan interaction I have kind of has to do with that usually, with a coming out story or just feeling inspired or seen by my work and less about like idolizing me. So it feels more, I don't know, it feels really good.
Does it, I would imagine that, so I think something that constantly comes up in my mind too, I've been working alongside celebrity my entire career.
Yeah.
And everybody does a really good job, most people at least do a really good job of behaving as though they're humble.
Yeah.
Despite whatever might actually be going on. But I'm really curious about like how you manage those impulses in yourself and control the inclination to like get a little high on your own supply, because it is really hard when you've got a ton of validation coming at you at all times. I mean, even on a small level, I experienced that at Stud Country.
Yes.
It's like a running joke. I talk about Stud Country in every single episode somehow.
You have to. You go twice a week. It's like, massive.
But just like this queer line dancing thing where I teach. Sometimes like it's like it's like I'm feeling this like onslaught of attention and validation, energy, and you have to be like, and it feels amazing. But you have to be like really vigilant about it not impacting the way that you feel about yourself, and then I can only imagine at your level how intensified that becomes.
Yeah, I think that probably it happens the most on tour for sure. Yeah, if you're doing like a show every night and you're getting that much energy from the crowd, especially if it's your own like a headline tour. It's different when you're opening. It's like sometimes you're getting a lot of energy, but most of the time you're giving energy.
Yeah.
You're like trying to inspire, you're trying to get people to to be interested in you.
You're selling.
You're selling yourself. You're selling yourself.
Because you're like, they might not be here for me.
Yes,
right?
you're pitching yourself, but
maybe I can convert them along the way.
Yes. But when it's your own headline tour and every single person in the room is like bought a ticket to come see you, crazy feeling, such a crazy feeling. Yeah, I'm trying to think what. It's interesting how my last headline tour I was in a relationship, and like I would come home and I would want to like watch all the videos because everybody was tagging a bunch of videos and stuff. I'm like, okay, there's this person next to me I'm going to bed with, and like maybe I don't need to do that right now.
It's real. Okay.
Yeah.
They like they talk about this with sex too. It's called like a toggle activity, where like if you have been out in the world at your job or whatever, having a stressful day or functioning as a parent, whatever it is, and then you come home and you're expected to be in like sexy mode. Like for a lot of people, you can't make that like 180. It doesn't feel natural at all. And so they talk about like a toggle activity that kind of gently moves you from one into the other. So for trying to get into a sexual space, they say like take a bath or something, or give yourself a little self-massage or something of that nature.
Yeah.
And it feels like this is probably one of those spaces where like you kind of need a toggle activity.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
Because you're up here.
Yeah.
And if you're consistently up here with your partner, they're gonna get sick like pretty fast.
100%. Yeah. Definitely. I feel like I did a pretty good job though of like not staying up there.
Did you have any practices to like help bring your nervous system back down?
No, not really. Yeah, before shows I would do stuff, sometimes little meditations and just like needing to be alone for a bit and stuff, but after the show, no, I feel like it's just eating, watching the videos if I'm alone. Honestly, like it is so fun to watch. It's fun to watch back and be like, this is what just happened. It was real.
Yeah, and also
you know?
like this is the experience from somebody
else's point of view.
Right?
Yeah.
You're up there with the lights in your face.
It's also informative. It like helps. It's like, okay, like that thing worked. That thing like really read, and like so it helps with for the next night. Like, okay, I'm gonna do that thing again the next night, or
It's
maybe I'll do
data.
that a little differently. Yeah, it is data. Yeah, definitely.
We were talking about this the other day, but like you, and I hope I'm not outing you, but you had mentioned that like navigating wanting your career to thrive and also being in a healthy, secure relationship can sort of feel like they're at odds with each other.
100%. Like this is a conversation I had so much when in my last relationship, which was so beautiful, and so it's over now, but it was such a beautiful relationship, and it was the first time I ever was like feeling really secure, and like you can see that in a lot of the songs that I released last year, like I Fucking Love You, Ruined My Life, Ashley. It's so many love songs I wrote about this relationship. And but once you write all the love songs, then you're like, okay, everything's still really good. What do I write about now?
You're like, do I need to fuck some shit up?
Yeah, do I have to create chaos in my life? Like, and
were you consciously aware of that?
Yes, for sure.
You were consciously like,
Yes. I was like, oh no, what am I? Okay, I've got to dig back into old territory. I got to go into the well of my old experiences.
Yeah, I'm out of material.
Yeah, I'm out of material, or I got to create something, like make something up. And some artists are really good at that, but I think that I maybe not. I don't know. It's harder for me to write from a place that's not just like super real and going on in my life. And so
you burned it down.
So no,
I'm just kidding.
I don't think I manifested it, but it was something that I thought about a lot. Where I was like, damn, there's not a lot of examples of pop musicians that have been in the same relationship for like their whole career, and that have like had the same healthy relationship.
Yeah, can
like,
you name any?
Beyonce.
Oh,
but they're both like,
that's
I
a good
don't know.
fucking point.
That's a good one. Yeah, but that's
like
Beyonce.
Yeah,
like
so rare.
An anomaly. Yeah, like there really aren't very many examples. I think it's a really hard career to keep a relationship, and especially if it's like if you're on a high profile like pop scale, I think it's pretty hard. Yeah.
And you have a lot of sexy women throwing themselves at you.
Well, honestly, I think that people can, when you're in I don't know, maybe it's because when I'm in a relationship, I am pretty like, I just want to like share it with the world, and I'm so excited about it and stuff. So I was very like publicly with my last relationship. So I think people like I don't know.
And people were respectful.
People were respectful of that.
Because, not to overly generalize, but people were probably respectful because you're a lesbian and it's other women who would be hitting on you.
Yes,
and so they were like, I'm going to respect this love story.
Respect this. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, they're more like, oh my God, how beautiful. We love this sweet love. Like, yeah, totally.
I mean, this is such like, I mean, it's like a trope almost, right? That the best art comes from depression, from pain, from struggle, from trauma.
And I just think it's it's an easier emotion to access. It's like feels more tangible. I don't know. It's sometimes I'm like, it's kind of cheap though to like think that that's the only place that you can get good stuff from. I think it's harder to write a good love song. Yeah. It's harder to write from a place of happiness and have it not feel like so corny. But yeah, I feel like that really, my last relationship also really showed me that. But some of my favorite songs I've ever written were from that place of like falling in love with her and just feeling so happy and secure and safe. And so now I know, I'm like, I don't have to be so sad and going through it and heartbroken to get good material.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, that's really informative.
So informative.
And after the breakup, I mean, you just said that you wrote some of your best stuff while being happy and in love. So is it fair to say then that after the breakup, like you weren't necessarily like, oh, the music just got better now that
I don't think it got
now that I'm sad
better, but it's easier to write right now. So much easier to write because there's just every day. Breakups are so crazy because your nervous system is adjusting to being without this person that you were with every day.
Yeah.
And every day is different in a breakup. It's like one day I am so fucking angry, and then one day I am so sad, and then one day I am really confused, and one day I'm like frustrated. Every day is so different when you're going through those first waves. And some of the songs are terrible because it's just coming from a place, if it's only coming from a place of like pure anger, and it's like, okay, I didn't really say all that. But
I mean, to that end, like, you're very autobiographical in your music. You are like, you're really putting it all out there, which I also think is very courageous, and it's something that I'm trying to do with this show as well. And on occasion I have people be like, don't say that. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I think I have to. But I'm so early on in the journey that like I haven't had the experience yet of it biting me in the ass.
Yeah.
Has it for you?
Oh, for sure. And it's so funny because I can like, you know, when I would sometimes like write songs in a relationship, like that person like didn't necessarily sign up for their diary to be exposed to, you know. And it's like, I am, by exposing like my the issues that we're having like in my songs, like I'm also exposing them. And like, is that fair? I don't know. And also, but I
have to. It's like inextricably linked into your life and your experiences.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, one of my last partner was like, sometimes if I would have a song and it's like, well, it's not. No, there's other writers in the room. There's other writers in the room, because usually there are, and you know, the rhyme is gonna win in the end, and so it's not always all true. But my songs are pretty autobiographical. So I remember she's like, Zoe, like, your songs are literally they're exactly what they're saying. There's no
like
metaphor.
On the nose.
Yeah, so on the nose. Like, she's like,
you're not really making people like dig deep to understand what's going on here.
Yeah, it's hard though. Because also sometimes I would like write about past partners, but because I was just like, okay, I feel really like secure and safe right now in this relationship, so like let me just go into my past experiences. And sometimes that could like would make people think like, oh, are you still thinking about that person?
The close read.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a tough thing to navigate.
It is fascinating though. Like, I was having this discussion with Ian, my husband, at some point. I was like, what percentage of all songs, period, in the history of time are about love? Whether they're coming from a positive
what do you think,
or
what do you think
oh my God, like probably fucking 98%, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
It is crazy how inexhaustible a subject it is.
Yeah. I mean, even like if you get together with your friends, what's the first thing you want to talk about? Usually it's love and relationships and sex and like let's get down to the nitty gritty.
Totally.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing else I want to talk about.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, exactly. Like, what's your love life
for days?
What's your love life like right now? Like that is my first question to everybody all the time.
What is your love life like right now?
Right now, I'm in a space of healing. It's really nice. Yeah. So I'm like 4 months out of my breakup, and I feel, it's. I'm like dating but not like dating anybody seriously. And it's just, I've been having fun. It's fun to like go out and feel like fun and flirty and single and not knowing where the night's gonna take you, and
Can you always clock when you meet somebody if they're aware of who you are?
No, for some reason I never register it until later. Like there's a times where I'm like, oh, that person definitely knew, but I just didn't think about it.
Like,
I don't know. I don't think that anybody knows who I don't think I have that thing where I'm like, oh, everybody knows who I am. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're still functioning as though you're a non-famous person. Like I'm not thinking about that at all. Even though, I mean, like, especially within your niche fame, like you're so known in the lesbian community that actually the reality is that most of the spaces that you're in, most people probably know who the fuck you are. Maybe. No, this is good. No, this is good. I'm not going to move you in this direction. Keep operating from the perspective that people don't know who you are. It's better. It's better for the ego. Yeah, I'm done. I think it's also nice, like in LA, people don't really care about it. That's true. Everybody's somebody in LA. Yeah. Right? It's just like in Sud Country, it's like there's so many like crazy people that roll through there. So many. And no one cares. That's a good point. Recently, I had coffee with a past ex, and this is a current ex? This is an ex from before the last one. Oh. No, a current ex. Got it. No, like she was my first love. We had a coffee, And we hadn't seen each other in years, hadn't really talked in years. And we walked into Maru, and the barista, like, she was like, "Are you Zolita? Like, oh my God, like, I love your videos, da 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 da." And I'm like, it's almost like I fucking planted this person. This is my ex who I haven't seen in years. Like, she was like, "Wow, like, this must happen all the time now."
You're just like, oh my God.
And I was
universe.
like, honestly, like, no, it really, in LA, people don't, in LA, people look at you, and you can, sometimes you know that they're clocking, but they don't, no one like really says anything.
Wow.
Right? They would rather try to like be cool and be friends with you.
God was looking out for you that day for sure.
Right?
Speaking of, has the camera seen your tank
Oh my God,
top?
it's gay. Yeah.
God is gay.
Gonna have this as merch for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. There's something about, you know, I think you and I strike pretty similar profiles. Like, we don't necessarily actually look alike, but we're two very femme women.
Yeah.
But it strikes me that we have been walking through the world like vastly differently in that you have spent pretty much the entirety of your adult existence being, if not entirely removed, far more unimpacted by the male gaze than I have. Which is to say that I've been deeply impacted in virtually every single moment of my life until this last year when I started going to stud country. And I was like, what? This is what it's like for it to not be a factor?
Yeah.
I mean, can you even unpack what that feels like for you if you haven't been on the other side of it? Or do you still feel impacted by it? Because
I think I do for sure. I think if you're a woman in our society, for sure you're impacted by it, no matter what, even subconsciously. And I think, I don't think, I definitely don't ever strive for like male approval, but I think sometimes it does still feel good.
What is that like?
Like, it still feels good sometimes, you know, but I'm not looking for it.
Right, because it's still, it's approval from a human. Like,
yes.
Validation feels good. Yeah.
Yeah. Then there's sometimes where I'm like, oh, like men that I've like worked with, like if they like something that I'm doing or like a song, sometimes it's like, oh, why am I valuing this person's opinion more because like they're a man? I don't know.
And that still comes into play even for you.
It still a little bit comes into play.
Wow.
For sure. But yeah, but it is nice to not. I like exist in such I don't have very many like straight friends. Most of my guy friends are gay. It's a crazy, I forget sometimes just like what the actual world is actually like, because I'm in such a bubble of just like queerness.
Which is beautiful.
It's so nice. It's so beautiful, but it's not, definitely not like most people's reality.
Yeah, it's been really, like, it's been intensely illuminating for me over the last year and a half, because as much as I've always had queer friends and whatever, you know, I've lived in a world that's been primarily and overwhelmingly hetero.
Yes.
At least that's been like the dominant narrative. And then going to stud country over the last year and a half, where I've been removed from the straight male gaze primarily. There's always like a little smattering, right?
Yeah, totally.
But it's not what you're contending with by and large.
Yeah.
I didn't even really anticipate the extent to which it has impacted my identity. Like, there's something, and this is not like a hating on men. I love men. I love men. I'm married to an amazing man. I think they're incredible. This is about like systemic stuff.
Yes.
I think you don't even realize the extent to which you're impacted by it until you feel the absence of it.
Yes.
And it's like, it feels a little bit like the wool being pulled off of your eyes. Like, it's really wild. And I think it's so important to have those spaces. And to me, that incredible like queer joy and levity that exists at Stud Country, at this queer line dancing thing that we're a part of, which is how we met.
Yes.
Is also what comes through so much in your music, you know, which is that you're just telling these really beautiful queer love stories.
Yeah.
You know? What's the feedback that you get from people? I mean, I feel like you probably have handfuls of stories of people that you've helped come out with your work.
Yeah. It's been so incredible I didn't start really touring until, like, I'd done like small things before last year, but last year was the first time I did like a proper headline tour, and like played festivals, and yeah, it was getting to like be with that many people who have like so closely supported me for such a long time. It was so incredible. And also just getting to, I did like meet and greets and stuff, and those were the moments usually where people come like prepared with something that they want to say, and how like a song has impacted them, or like helped them come out, or helped them realize something about themselves, or yeah, I had a couple propose on stage.
Oh my God.
My last work was so cool, and they like used a bunch of lyrics from like several of my songs, and that was just like so special. Like couples getting tattoos of the song lyrics together, and yeah, there's so many. I try to, it's, sometimes I feel like sometimes it, like when you receive a lot of something, it becomes, you're just like, oh, like that's
you
it's,
can become
it's so
immune
normal.
to it.
It's you become immune to it.
Yeah.
So I'd really try to clock that, and if I get like a long DM, like sit with that for a second, like, and don't just like double tap. Oh my God, that's so sweet, you know, like that is a person who's having this like who's really connecting to something that is so special to have that connection.
Yeah.
And that I helped this person do, like, realize who they were in some way. So I tried to let that like hit me, you know.
I mean, to that end, I mean, you've charted this like pretty incredible trajectory, but there's, you know, of course you can always get bigger, you can always have more success, you can always be a little more famous, whatever, especially in this town, right? Are you able to savor where you are and how far you've come, or are you kind of constantly looking to the next thing?
I think it's definitely a mix of both. I think that sometimes I forget, like, this moment that I'm in right now, you know, a few years ago, if I would have seen this, like, oh my God, I get to like just exist and live off of my art, and I don't have to do a side job. That's crazy. Like, that is unbelievable.
Like, that is
in and of
making
itself.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, a few years ago, if I would have seen that, I would have been like, oh my God, that's where I want to be. That is where I want to be. But now, of course, it's like, okay, no, now I want the next thing.
What is the thing you want now?
I want to make feature film. I want the songs to pop off even more. I want to make more music videos. I want to play Coachella and Lollapalooza. I want to, you know, there's always something else. And especially when there's, you know, I have so many incredible artist friends around me. I feel like that really happened over the last year or so. I've made so many more artist friends in my space, a lot of other queer artists, and getting to see others like and their trajectory and see all that success. It is like it's so amazing. It also breeds comparison for sure.
So hard.
It's so hard.
It's so hard. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, and
it's
for some reason, I feel like we're meant to feel like, oh, there can only be one queer god at a time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, this person's now on the come up, so this person knocked out. Like, nope, they're done. They're over. They were last year. Just so crazy. We don't do that to. I guess that happens in you know, in straight spaces too. But
I think it happens in almost all spaces, right?
It's just
or just like industry. You know, in the working world, it's constantly like, oh, there can only be like one woman at the top. There can only be one person of color at the top. And sometimes people do get actually like tokenized, right?
Yeah.
Like you haven't actually ever signed with a label.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if, like, I mean, you can tell me, but I wouldn't be surprised if people would say things like, oh, like, we've already got our lesbian artist, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, there can only be one.
Yeah.
You're being given the information that there can only be one, even though that's a fallacy.
Yeah.
And
100%.
then you have to do, like, the Jedi mind trickery of trying to figure out how to not internalize that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's, like, really hard.
No, it's so hard. Yeah.
Really hard.
I think the thing that's so... Even though I'm still in the moment, sometimes it's hard to recognize that, okay, I'm in a place that I wanted to be in years ago, and, you know, and I'm just thinking about the next thing. I think I still have so much gratitude all the time for where I'm at. And I think a lot of that also has to do with, like, my career is one piece of my life, but just the community of people I've built around me. I've had these, like, really long-term friendships and creative collaborators. And just I value my social life and my community like just as high as I value my career.
So
And
key.
it's so key.
Yeah.
So I think having both of those, keeps me constantly happy for sure.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's so important to broaden the way that we think about success.
Yes.
And it's hard, like even me who's like constantly thinking about this stuff, like I find myself like falling back into certain modes of thinking, of success being really wrapped up in what your career is doing, right?
Yeah.
Accolades, external indicators of success, money, whatever. But I mean, I think success actually has to be measured in like all these different spheres of your life.
Yeah.
And if you're super successful from a professional perspective and your relationships are in the gutter, like I
Yeah.
think you're a very
So
successful
you're not gonna be
person.
happy. If you're not happy, then what is it? Is that success?
No,
You're not. It's not.
no.
Yeah.
What are you doing it for?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
I'm really fascinated with the concept of deep and intimate adult friendship. I also have like a really incredible community of friends, and I do not know who I would be without them.
yeah,
And they're so inextricably linked. It's like, yeah, my marriage is the most important thing, but it's not like my marriage is up here and my friends are down here. It's like it's like all kind of like one. I mean, it makes us sound like we're swingers. We're not there yet, but just kidding. But it is feel like we're all just like this amoeba, and we're helping each other evolve. And I'm also just like, it saddens me so much to know how few people actually have that.
Yeah.
Have you always had that? Did you find it later?
I've always been a connector too. Like I'm always the person that's bringing, like most of my friends in my like group. Most of my friends like know each other through me. I've always been the person that like brings people together, and it is my favorite thing when they form friendships outside of me, and
No jealousy.
No jealousy.
I love that.
Oh my god, it makes me so happy. I'm
a
like,
lot
oh my
about
god, to
you.
get to bring people together.
Yeah.
Like even, I've been talking about this recently, like with breakups, especially in the queer community. It's so small, and like, you know, and you're all friends. Like I've never been one to, you know, go through a breakup and be like, no one can be friends with that person anymore. It's like, that's human. If that person connected with, I'd be happy for her to stay friends with everybody in my family. Like if she had connections with people that I introduced her to, and they want to continue those connections, like, please,
Yeah,
like
far be
that.
it from me.
Who am I to take that away from them? Who am I to control?
It's very emotionally evolved with you.
Thank you.
Just, I seem to be encountering a lot generally in the lesbian community. Just women supporting women.
Yes. You know, there's the other side of it too, for sure. It gets scary out here.
I want to talk about the music video that we did together.
Yes. Oh
Zoe reached out to me, also a hilarious moment, because you introduced yourself to me the first time as Zolita, and then I thought that was your God-given name.
Oh my God, you were like, what cool parents.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that's really some shit. But Zoe reached out to me and asked me to choreograph this music video based on choreography that she'd seen me teach at Stud Country, which I had to thank you for, because it just like it was so much fun to be able to put that hat on, and I just like, I'm wearing a lot of hats these days, and I was just like, why not one more, you know?
Yes.
You want to tell people a little bit about Small Town Scandal?
Yes. Oh my God, I'm so excited. So started going to Stud Country a year ago, and changed my life in such a big way. And I just, like, the euphoria that I feel when I go home from Stud Country is just unparalleled. Just
next
like,
level.
Getting to dance next to a bunch of queer people in sync for 3 hours and sweat.
And there's
together.
something about the synchronized nature of it. There's science behind it.
Yes,
It's like collective effervescence. It's incredible what it does inside your body.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. And I remember you had choreographed a dance to "Not My Fault" by Renee, and I was just like, this is so fucking sick and so sexy. It's so good. And then the rest is history. And then, so Small Town Scandal, after going to Stud for a while, I wanted to write a line dancing song. And I also wanted to write a song that was like referencing old Shania, my favorite, and one that was like just not taking itself so seriously, and like wasn't a love song and wasn't a breakup song, and you know, it was just a really fun.
It is
like
so
country
fun.
club banger. Also, I am a huge country music fan. Like, I used to be a closet country music fan, and then it really not closet anymore. Like, I'm very obsessed with country, and my own personal taste. Like, I listen to probably 70% of the time, maybe I'm like listening to country.
Wow.
Kind of a lot.
Well, and in the way that like Beyonce was like, no, I'm taking country back. Like,
yes.
Country belongs to people of color.
Yeah.
In the same way, it's like they're
country belongs to queer people too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I've been joking for the longest time. I'm like, I'm gonna get my country song in there soon. I'm gonna get a banjo on a track soon.
Right, because you grew up playing bluegrass.
Yes, we grew up playing bluegrass. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's all dovetailing. It's all dovetailing.
And
okay, let's show.
Yes.
Director, can we show the clip?
Took it to the middle of the room so they could get a better view. Can't you hear the horn talking? My boots been knocking. You can't stop watching.
Amazing. Okay, so that comes out next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, April 30th.
The 30th.
Yeah.
So exciting. You know, and now if you want to hire me to choreograph your music video, just like DM me or something.
Also, she brings the best energy to set ever.
Okay,
so.
but honestly, ditto. And I have to say, like, I was so inspired by you because you were wearing so many hats. You're directing, you had you have a very great small crew that you work with all the time. But you were doing so many things, and there was just like no stress that read on you, and it was clear that you were like very deeply in your personal power, but there was no power being exerted over anybody else.
Yes,
it's very much like a power with, not power over.
That is, I think, that is my superpower with my music videos, is making sets feel like it's something that we are all doing together. Like, it is not something that I'm like, I'm the big boss and it's what I say goes. It's like, the coolest thing is that my sets are all queer, and they're all people that I've worked with for so long mostly, and people that I'm so inspired by and that I trust so deeply. And it's so exciting to like have this vision in my head and then have other people elevate it and like add their own story and their own creative input and like bring it to places that I'm like, oh my God, I wouldn't have imagined it going that direction. That's so sick. And so I think I'm so proud of the sets that I run.
You should be.
So proud of them.
You should be. And I think it's such a testament to just constantly being reminded that like what we've seen historically does not, like, you can reinvent these things in the image of what you want them to be, you know? And you, especially on set, like, you really feel it when that alchemy and that magic is present and everybody feels like they're a part of it and it feels really familial.
Totally.
And then you're like, why would any set ever run any differently?
Yeah. No, it's my favorite thing. Like when people leave one of my sets for the first time and they're like, that is different than any set I've ever been on. Or like that, you know.
That's huge.
Yeah, no, it's and people also make so many relationships. There's so many like PAs making like best friends, and like there's so many awesome
And you're a connector, so you love that.
Yes, it's my favorite.
Okay. Shit, I wanted to talk to you about so many things. I always do this. I don't even look.
We could go forever and ever.
You'll just come back. Okay, we play a little game called Am I Doing It Right? Because we are all asking if we are doing it right. That is the conceit of the show. Something that you are actively working on right now.
Something I'm actively working on. I am actively working on not going back to my anxious attachment. I'm like, that was my normal state, is being anxiously attached, and clocking when it comes back now. Because now I know what it's like to be securely attached to somebody. So not letting myself go there again.
Wow, that's a paradigm shift.
Yes, huge shift. Yeah, so I'm working on that, and then also filling my creative cup. I feel like sometimes I'm like, I have to be working on something all the time. I can't just like sit and watch a movie, or like sit and draw just to draw, or you know, just lie back and like listen to an album. So I think, but you need that. You need to fill the creative well in order to create from somewhere.
It serves the work.
It serves the work, yeah. So I'm trying to reframe that. Like that is still productive.
Yeah.
I do have
Oh my God, I have it too.
It's like I need to be productive all the time.
I have it too.
I can't like.
Yeah, and you're like, I gotta be like sitting in a chair, like in front of a computer, like.
Yes.
You can't just. Whereas like creativity cannot come to you unless you are given
doing other stuff in the
space to just like sit. And right, it's like if you adhere to the idea that you're sort of like these things you're sort of pulling them from the ether, they can't come to you if you're constantly
just
filling
sitting
your brain
on your phone or on your computer doing. Yeah.
Oh my God, get off the phone.
Yeah.
Get off the phone.
Yeah.
Something you're bad at and you don't care. You're like totally fine with it.
Something I'm bad at. I'm bad at sports. I'm bad at sports.
Me too.
Yeah, and I don't need them. Bad at sports.
Is there something you're bad at and you wish you weren't?
Maybe it is being okay, being spontaneous, and like it's like day drinking. Like I hate day drinking because it feels like I'm like, well, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I hate day drinking.
You know, we'll take a nap after this.
Because I'm like, I feel like I need to be being productive during the day, but like being more okay with like, okay, I can. It's a Saturday. I can relax. I can go sit in the park, and that's okay. I don't have to be doing something at all times.
Well, this is the hard thing too about when you're an entrepreneur. There is no like closing the
yeah.
laptop.
Yeah,
you know, you're like
no
kind
boss.
of always on. You have to create.
You're always on.
You have to create those boundaries for yourself. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you'll go crazy.
Yeah.
I know. I feel it. When do you feel most powerful?
I feel the most powerful definitely on set when I'm directing, and when everything that I've like worked on is like when I get to actually finally make that come to life.
Yeah.
And what else? Honestly, having sex.
Fuck yeah.
So it's the most powerful feeling. Like feeling like embodied.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you are like really, it's funny because our last episode was about sex and we talked a lot about
Yeah.
this. But I think when you can like move beyond, and maybe you were never there because you've been sleeping with women your whole life, but
Yeah.
although I think you've probably slept with some men too, but like when you can move out of being performative,
Yes.
and
you're
it's like
just
actually coming from a place of your own desire.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like
Truly
asking for
liberating.
what you want, and not, and being shameless, and like just like feeling sexy. Oh,
Yeah.
good feeling.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
We'll talk some more about that off
Yes.
camera. Okay, I think we're at time. Could have stayed here forever.
Yes.
Thanks to my guest, Zolita. Her album Queen of Hearts drops May 31st. Her nationwide tour kicks off this fall in September. She's at Zolita on all platforms, and you can go to Zolita Music for more information on tickets. The music video for Small Town Scandal comes out next Tuesday, April 30th, choreographed by yours truly, and almost everything else done by Zoe. Thanks to my crew, to Zinc, to my husband, to all of you. Go take stock of the places where you are courageous in your life and give yourself some credit. And happy Lesbian Visibility Week. We'll see you next time.